when I tweeted out the show today, I talked about Hex making a comeback, and on one of our videos, we had a couple. I had a couple videos from streams from ours from a couple of months back where we were talking about like Hex staking strategies and how to do a staking ladder and stuff like that, and just going back to basics of Hex and everything. Because many people, like a lot of people, we've talked about this, but a lot of people are just kind of here for Pulse Chain now, and that's fine. I mean, they're interested in the blockchain, and Pulse X, I think, is kind of I'm not comparing it to Hex in terms of what it does. It's not even the same thing at all. I'm just comparing it to, I think it's probably Richard's new best shiny object of this cycle, Pulse X probably, as being a DEX with a buy and burn, with a lot of other, things that can be turned on as the market goes on for Pulse X. Mm-hmm. But Hex obviously was all the rage last bull cycle, did a 10,000X. You can lock up tokens for up to 15 years, however much you want to do it. It's about acquiring T shares to be able to print more Hex along the way, and all these things. But we saw the Hex God Whale, which, again, I don't want to take anything for granted. I mean, like, some people here in the chat may have been here 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and they know about this stuff. Some people may not, but I'll let you kind of color in who the God Whale was real quick in a moment. But he, a couple of weeks ago now, we've had this as a running topic, but he staked hundreds of T-shares on, it was August 9th, I saw, across Ethereum and Pulse, so Hex on both chains. And he kind of spread them all out for roughly a year or less from that time. So this is a guy who is, again, a whale when it comes to Hex, and he just staked tons and tons of Hex out to August of 25, and then I think the whole way into, from early May of 2025 to August 2025. So he kind of tapered it off there, meaning that, and he seems to be a smart guy, a gaff donation to Bank X aside anyway. But he has Hex stakes, basically huge ones from early May of 25 to August 25. And that could be indicative of him thinking that that's when the bull market could be coming to an end, or at least he can get out at that time or something if he wants to before the end of the bull market, maybe late 2025. So I'm curious what you make of this, what you know about the God Whale's history and stuff like that. But I think it's super interesting and something to pay attention to. That, I mean, if this guy is this bullish, like, you don't have to lock up these tokens. I mean, and again, he is bigger pays better is one of the things when it comes to Hex staking. Well, his stakes are definitely very big, so he's making a good bid on them. But it's certainly something to pay attention to with this huge of a bag. So what do you make of all that, Ewok?
Yeah, well, so let's give a little history on God Whale himself in case those who don't know where this guy came from. When you look at the Hex chart, this is the Hex chart back here from the beginning. The bottom was down here, 0.00, what was it? 4 zeros, 5655 was the very bottom. And then after a couple months, right about here in April, you see this candle right here. Yeah. This was pretty much created from the God Whale. And everybody was like, "Oh, it's just Richard Hart. It's Richard playing games." That, but when it was looked into, there were some Genesis Ethereum, a lot of them from this wallet, and we all know that Richard was a staunch Bitcoin person back then who thought Ethereum was garbage. He actually left videos up of him saying things like that. So. He was not an original investor in Ethereum. So, we know it was somebody different, was a different entity. And this candle from the 0.0005 all the way up into the basically lost to 0.04005 from 0005 to 005 was responsible from him pretty much. And it never came back until now.
Yeah, right.
And in fact, I don't even know if we have retraced to that level or yeah, we did. Okay. But anyway, pre-God Whale now. But that was the cause of it. So this guy has tons and tons of Ethereum. He also has tons and tons of Quattro Cinco stakes, 5555. And yeah, I did see the other day that he put some of these out, pretty large ones, and timed them into early May, somewhere in between there. I think he is timing it. I think he's probably earning some yield. He's not really sold a whole lot. Like you said, he did screw up on the Bank X thing. I'm very surprised that at these prices he didn't buy it back, because when he
Mhm.
sacrificed those stuff for Bank X, um, it was much higher. He got a much better value, and at that point it was probably the right call. But I don't know what the Bank X tokens are doing or anything like that. I have no idea.
Mhm.
I was very surprised to see that he didn't buy his stuff back at that point, which I kind of thought he would do. But either way, I think he is playing the market. He is a um, mostly wise investor, and has done a lot of good. We know Godwill has made some big donations to different things. I know. I think one of the things, or even two of the things that Maddie was doing, where he was raising money for certain different things, um, he Godwill donated some too. So mostly benevolent character
Yeah.
in the ecosystem. Um, and he's got very, very large bags, and he's sold very, very little. So um, again, I know he's got many, many, many 5555 stakes. So he does believe in it long term, which is good. But it never hurts to cover yourself for these short terms and try and play that timing thing. So that's all I think it really is. I was talking to you about this possibly having Crispy on
Mhm.
a stream with us to talk more about the hex, and how the T share rate is really falling off. Like, there is so very little at this point that is out for the 15 years. And I think it would take you, what is it, 30 T shares in that year to become a dolphin, which right now I
Wow.
believe is over 1,000 T shares to become a dolphin. So to put your stuff out into the future with stuff right now, you can actually move up the charts because there's so little out there.
Right.
Now, the um, the number of stakers has been going up the last month. The number of wallets has been going up, and the average stake length is also going up. But if you look out 15 years, it's pretty sparse, which means the payout per T share at that point could be crazy numbers. Like, it's very interesting to think about, and that's why I said I'd like to have Crispy on, depending on what we're doing and what we have scheduled, maybe next week or the week after, whatever, to talk about this stuff, because it is quite fascinating to see where the taper off is, for some of these people who may want to play a little bit longer of a game.